Procedure. He lands. Awan walks, scans, kills, reports, and submits to a baseline test, spoken like machine maintenance. When he walks, Rillan peels Brightumany. The world does not treat him as a soul under pressure. It treats him as equipment that still happens to bleed. What this reveals is the movie's first rule. Oppression here is not theatrical. It is administrative. Kav's apartment is boxed. Vase ave belay. The station is concrete and fluorescent. Even the sound design strips warmth out of the air. Every space tells him the same thing. Stay within specification. Bidavishov. This is where the film gets genuinely disturbing. The system does not destroy Ka by brutality alone. It gives him a function. A room, and a script for survival. This is persona at industrial scale. The social mask you wear so long that you stop noticing it is a mask. And the film keeps pinning that idea to visible evidence. The baseline chamber, the clipped answers. A thinky to us now. I'm to lie people like Kave to survive. The like snitsam mantiquere. A like see to a snitsam lie. The body held rigid in frame as if even posture has been standardized. Then the movie inserts the object that breaks the machine open. The wooden horse. Notice how Villeneuve stages that discovery. Kave is not lit like a chosen one. He is lit like a worker who has found a crack in the wall. The ash, the hidden box, the trembling hand, the silence around the object. Even yo. Everything in the scene says not revelation. Scene shirt, but contamination. What this reveals is that hope enters the movie as a destabilizer. Kai does not suddenly gain truth here. He gains a story strong enough to reorganize his pain. That is why the horse matters. Why the horse matters. Not because it proves he is special, but because it offers him a version of himself he can bear to live inside. Jung called the buried material beneath the social mask the shadow. Blade Runner 2049 visualizes it literally. Something hidden under debris still exerting force from underneath the life built on top of it. The film's accusation is already sharpening. It is not asking whether Kave's memory is real. It is asking how quickly a starving self will build a religion around the first evidence that seems to say, you were meant. Most viewers treat Kave's growing belief as the emotional rise of the film. Watch the images more closely. Every time Ka moves nearer to the idea that he might be the miracle child, the movie does not open up. It hardens. A thorst reed. Mista hands psychtharidi. It hardens. If thinky worse ku wery shine. The compositions become colder. The spaces widen. The spaces widen. Widen once away. Latifi thnew widen tium fida via viewers, to survive viewer. And that's as wide a wide the wisely wassel. The music thins into dread. The rhyme to the ole what there be. The music thins into dread. Villeneuve is not scoring transcendence. He is scoring misrecognition. This next scene is the one that breaks the whole film open. Because the movie understands something brutal about desire. Once a trapped person is offered an identity that explains all their suffering, they will defend that story even when the evidence is already curdling in front of them. Kage does not just want freedom. Afar. He wants his suffering to mean he was selected for something higher. What this reveals is the hidden temptation of the film. Not truth, but elevation. Then the film runs the same up. Notice how joy is filmed. Soft light. Private space. Gentle voice. The illusion that the city has finally produced one room in which Ka is seen without being measured. That is why the emanator matters. It turns fantasy into mobility. It lets the product move like a person. What this reveals is not that joy is fake and K is foolish. The film is doing something sharper. It shows how a system can industrialize emotional recognition. Joy reflects back a version of Kai that he needs to believe exists. Chosen. Singular. Loved without condition. But the film keeps embedding signs that this tenderness is also scripted behavior. And then comes the billboard. The giant pink advertisement calling him a good Joe is visual annihilation. The phrase he treated as intimate returns at architectural scale. Detached from personhood. Detached from him. What happens next is not a plot twist. It is a confession. Kav realizes that private comfort can still be mass-produced. And that sincerity of feeling does not protect you from the system that engineered the feeling. That is one of the darkest ideas in the film. Dependency can be profiled, packaged, a thing fathe to was. Deal done, Neff, and sold back to you in the exact form your loneliness asked for. When the film finally tells Ka that he is not the child, it does not simply overturn a mystery. It removes the story he had been using to survive. Notice how restrained the scene is. No operatic meltdown. No heroic camera. The movie refuses to glorify the collapse because what is collapsing is not destiny. It is narcissistic hope. The real question the film asks is this: who are you when the story that made your suffering feel meaningful is stripped away? No chosenness. No secret bloodline. No cosmic exception. Only the self left standing after the fantasy is burned off. But here's where the film gets genuinely disturbing. One have alive people like Kaveh to survive. For that to be genuinely disturbing. Most stories comfort the audience by proving the hero was special all along. The Blade Runner 2049 does the opposite. It strips K down to the one thing the system never taught him how to be. A person who can act without turning the act into a claim about his own importance. Ka carrying Deckard up the steps is the moral center of the movie. Notice how plain Villeneuve makes it. No triumph pose. No final line that explains the meaning for you. Just effort. They ryuti for gore on danger. Just effort, injury. I niev on I. Whether Denge were allow people like Kaveh to survive. With a forest then, and a body still moving because it has decided to move. What this reveals is the film's or whether someone can pass a test of authenticity. Humanity is the choice to act without converting the act into a claim about your importance. That is why the snow matters. The movie returns to the image it opened with, but now the frame has changed meaning. Snow no longer feels romantic. It feels indifferent. Was uniting Nithige wife. The universe does not lean down to certify K's value. A think a usual at war. And Villeneuve insists that this is precisely what gives the act its weight. Witi heal real way. When every fantasy of specialness is gone, what remains is what you do. Blade Runner 2049 is not asking you whether a replicant can become human. It is accusing you of how easily a life can be organized around purchased identities. Flattering narratives? Flattering narratives. IV1 Puise. The worst part is that the system in the film does not win by force alone. It wins by making false selves feel emotionally livable. That is why K's final act matters. Not because he proves he was exceptional after all, but because he stops needing exceptionality in order to do the right thing. Blade Runner 2049 isn't asking you to admire Ka for becoming more human. Nebula.